And welcome inside the Backstage Pass. Always another great day for another great show presented by our friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out at bangtail.com. Get your order in there. And of course, our friends, the Caden Gordon Show.com. Today's best country mix, Kayden. And also jewelry by Tommy. Valentine's Day coming up. We'll talk more about that with some handcrafted jewelry with Valentine's Day, of course, approaching February 14th. Well, I'll tell you what, back in early January here on the Backstage Pass, we got a notice of a guy taking country music by storm and putting the country back in country music too. He had the most added song at country radio back in January 8th, the week of that. Sounds like the radio. He sounds like real country here. Zach Top on the Backstage Pass. Zach, what's up, buddy?
Hey, nothing much, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you here too as well, live on the sportsguys podcast.com and always KKTC True Country 99.9 and our friends at hightidecountry.net. Well, hey, it's been a whirlwind start of 2024. Before we get into the single, talk to me about just your upbringing, of course, listening to all these great artists, Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson,
Yep.
and of course, all these great stars that paved the way for young artists today. Your upbringing, man, I just love the story, but please share it with the listeners, that connection with music from a young age.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, I always like to say, I think George Strait was kind of the first thing that caught my eye. I think he looked pretty cool in a cowboy hat and holding a guitar. And I thought that way as long as I can remember. And so I wanted to shoot. I think I got my parents talked into buying me a little Walmart guitar. Probably when I was 3, I think. And I didn't know what to do with it, of course, but they finally they got me in lessons when I was about the time I turned 5, I believe. And I went in there, and lady asked me what I wanted to learn to play. And the first thing at the top of my mind without hesitation was Amarillo by Morning. Um, so she said, well, that's a nice thought. Maybe let's start with something like Jesus Loves Me, and we can work our way up to that. So anyway, we got there eventually, but that was George Strait was kind of the first one. The other real big one early on was Marty Robbins. For
Mm-hmm.
me, my dad had an old cassette tape in his old Chevy pickup, and I think that was the only cassette tape he ever had in there. I guess he figured if they made a better one, he'd switch it out. But that was the one I remember being in there pretty much my whole childhood, kind of. So we'd listen to that a ton growing up on stuff like Big Iron and
Mm-hmm.
Strawberry Roan and Utah Carol, all that good stuff, El Paso, and so those were kind of the early ones. And then as I got started to kind of taking my singing more seriously, I started listening to Keith Whitley's probably my favorite
Mm-hmm.
singer ever. So he's probably number one influence on the way I sing, and then guys like Haggard and Jones,
Mm-hmm.
and Dan Seals. I remember being a big fan of Dan Seals. My folks we still had a tape machine, and I'm not that old, but they still had a tape machine downstairs in the house, and they had a big old briefcase full of it was like a tape holder, and so there's a whole bunch of old country tapes in there, and I just put them in there one by one in that tape machine and sit down there with my guitar and try to learn all them songs. So I fell in love with it early and never let it go, I guess.
Yeah, when you talk about that too, for some of those great artists you mentioned there too, and I mean, 90s country is so synonymous now. And we're starting to see with your music with a guy like Randall King and, of
Yeah,
course, Wyatt McCubbin. I throw right in there too. We'll talk more
yeah,
about him in a little bit. All these great superstars now who are coming their own. Josh Ward, Aaron Watson,
yeah.
Texas country guys down here from where I'm from. It's an important piece, I think, of the puzzle to really bring back this kind of music. And the more people I talk to around the industry, and of course in it now, there's this thirst and this hunger. Talk about that too for this style of music coming back that's been missed for some time.
Certainly. Yeah, I think it's a funny country music is a funny kind of beast. The pendulum swings on it from one way to the other, and we always get a big swing one way, and then we get another big swing, you know, back towards what you and me would consider more country type of country music, and it's been that way forever. Shoot, when Strait came on the scene, he kind of came out of nowhere after things like Juice Newton and
Mm-hmm.
T.G. Shepherd and Kenny Rogers, were the big dogs on radio and stuff. So George Strait kind of sounded like a breath of fresh air even back in the 80s. So it feels like I've felt like for a few years now, we're kind of building to this sort of point where, all right, it's really going to swing back and we're going to put stuff that's, more immediately identifiable as country. And and I say that without, I never want to knock anything anybody else is doing,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of big old stars that's connecting with a lot of people, and a lot of people loving that music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think there's probably room for a little variety on the radio. You know, if there's a fella like Morgan Wallen and Jelly Roll and stuff, I think you can mix me in there,
Yeah.
and their fans are going to enjoy me, and likewise, you know, vice versa. So I think I think there's room for all, and I'm excited to see, you know, a little more of that old school type of country music that made me fall in love with the format, I guess. See that make a bit of a comeback, and it's fun
Mm-hmm.
to see, you know, like those guys you mentioned, and then there's guys like Jake Worthington and
Mm-hmm.
Drake Milligan and fellas like that that's doing great things as well, and making stone cold country music.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of flavor for everybody out there too, and everybody can, take it for what it's worth. And everybody in the industry now has something to contribute and kind of give
Yeah,
back to the flavor. Like you said, that beast is kind of that pendulum; it's swinging back and forth. And of
yeah,
course, you see it on the award shows now because I think Jelly Roll has his own little niche kind of carved. And then
yeah,
you look at some of those artists that you mentioned too. It's a great thing because people can kind of flock to that, 90s country sound, neo traditional sound like you have, and then if they want a little something newer, a little bit more of the movement, bro country, or if it's a little bit
hmm,
of rock country, there's a little bit of some flavor out there, like ice
yeah,
cream for everybody.
100%.
I think that's a great thing for the industry. Well, I'll tell you what, hey, I want to ask you when you got the news about the debut single, Sounds Like the Radio, January 8th, the number one most added song to country radio, and you got that phone call, and of course, everything went out press wise. First of all, congratulations on that too, because the song is a hit. You worked with some amazing people on this upcoming album coming up here. Carson Chamberlain, who's worked with Alan Jackson as a producer. You co-wrote at least every song on this record. Talk about this record coming out April 5th, Cold Beer and Country Music, and the single, first of all, number one most added at country
Yeah.
radio.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that old Sounds Like the Radio that come out with a big old bang. I think it was. I think a lot of us, me and my management and the label and everything, breathed a little bit of a sigh of relief. We felt like we were gonna do something good with it, but obviously it sticks out like a sore thumb compared to anything else that's going on the radio right now. And so I think we were very excited and breathed a big old sigh of relief that hey, we weren't making it up. We're not crazy. Other people are going to like this too. So that was really fun to see that, and I was floored by the response we got from radio so far. And then yeah, as far as the record goes, man, I'm so excited about these songs. It's some of them are we've been sitting on for years. Hell, Sounds Like the Radio, we wrote that I think 3-4 years ago or something, and we recorded the thing 2 years ago. I got the first mix back on that song in January of yeah, it would have been January of 22.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat on that song for a long time, and just felt like that was the right one to. Whenever we got to make the introduction to country radio, that was the first one we wanted to lead with, and so we sat on that for a while, waiting for the right time. And there's a bunch of other songs like that. That's they're we've been sitting on them for a minute, and then there's some real fresh stuff too that we just been writing in the last few months. So kind of you get a little look into some different phases of my artist journey, I guess, and
Mm-hmm.
songwriting journey. So that'll be fun, and honored to have worked with some of the best songwriters in the world on some of this stuff. Paul Overstreet and Tim Nichols, and Mark Nessler, and Michael White's on there, and obviously Carson, and then
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt McCubbin is on a handful of them things. So really excited about all that stuff. I think if folks have been liking what I've been putting out so far, I think they're not going to be disappointed with the rest of this record. So
Yeah, we're definitely picking up what you're putting down, no doubt about that too. And speaking of Carson too, just a renowned producer and songwriter. His own right, I mentioned he worked with Billy Currington, Alan Jackson too, with a lot of the different things out there
yeah.
too. To bring Carson in on a project like this, talk about just what that means to you, kind of as a young artist, and then taking a lot of the knowledge he has in the music business and incorporating that into this record.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, it's me and Carson go back a little ways now. I first got hooked up with him in early in 2019, I guess. Man, he was the first one that brought me to town. He's the reason I'm here in a lot of ways. And he reached out to me. I had a little video when Daryl Singletary passed away. I put up a video that kind of went a little bit viral for me on Facebook, and he found me off of that and sent me an email and said he might want to work. And it was funny because I didn't recognize his name at first, and then come to find out, if you do a little Wikipedia search, there's some information on him, and I figured, hell, I ought to email this guy back. We ought to work together. So we started talking, I guess, on the phone, in the spring of 2019, and then that fall, I believe, I started coming to town, and he really treated me like a son. He let me stay at his house. I'd come out there for a week at a time every month, and he kind of introduced me to co-writing and showed me the ropes on a lot of that and a lot of the music business stuff in general. So he's a big reason I'm where I'm at today, for sure. And I wouldn't rather be working with anybody else as far as producer and songwriter. I think we make a great team together, and he's been really helpful, really good to me, and I definitely owe a lot to him. And so, I don't think there's a better fit for me as far as producer and a partner on this project. So really excited to have him be a part of it.
Yeah, one of the best out there, Carson Chamberlain, too, as well. And, of course, definitely we're going to come back, talk a few more singles, definitely what made the record, including the song we played on KKTC the other day, There's the Sun, which is one of the best ballads all time I've heard in country music, too, as well, of who Zach worked with on that particular track, too. But I definitely, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up, Zach, too, and I got to get this in for my guy, too, as well, because if you got a sweetheart or you got a significant other, it's around the corner, looking for that perfect gift for the spouse, friend, or family member. Jewelry by Tommy. Jewelry by Tommy has you covered. A Burley System at yahoo.com today to order. Burley System at yahoo.com today to order. Some of that handmade, handcrafted jewelry, just as good as a smooth country song written, too, as well. Jewelry by Tommy out there, too, as well. Love him. Thank you for being a part of it. We'll take a quick time out here on the Backstage Pass. A word from Banktail Whiskey and our sponsors, too. More with Zach Top here. KKTC, True Country 99.9, and, of course, High Tide Country. .net, and always powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com. More with Zach. Stay tuned.
The Caden Gordon Show is a 2-hour show playing the best in country music. So check it out at thecadengordonshow.com. Again, that is thecadengordonshow.com.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Zach Top on the Backstage Pass, again powered by the Sports Guys Podcast.com, and of course out there too, KKTC True Country 99.9, always 10 Mountain Time, 7 nights a week on our syndicated stations there, Taos, New Mexico, and Pueblo, Colorado, and always in Oklahoma City, High Tide Country.net. We play a lot of Zach Top music, and hope you guys are enjoying listening to the show and to Zach's music out there here, back presented by Bangtail Whiskey and our friends, the Caden Gordon Show.com, today's best country mix, and our friends at Jewelry by Tommy, too, as well. There's one I got to check out, too, which was awesome. Even last year, you guys put out. Man, I loved George Jones, being from Beaumont, Texas, down here, too, his hometown. Just a Jonesin. And the picture of that jukebox, maybe go back to when I say early, I'm in my 40s now, but back to the kid. We used to go to this diner in town. We'd put the old quarter in the jukebox, and, man, we'd play some good old hits from Clay Walker and Tracy Byrd, Mark Chestnut, George Jones. How did this one come about? Because, man, what a tune.
Well, thank you very much. That was a fun one. That was another one with Wyatt. That was his idea too. I think he came in with that title thought and that groove kind of on it. And I want to say he had a few lines on the chorus already before he brought it in with me and Carson. And it was, if I remember correctly, I think that song fell out pretty quick. It's there's it ain't all that deep of a song. It's a good time, raise your beer up in the air type of song for sure. And you can definitely stomp your foot to it. It was a really fun track to cut. And I think it turned out like $1 million, and it's just, a feel good, fun song, that I love. And he had that idea too, to do that. that kind of yodel thing on the front of it, that go homes in, and which I think, you know, kind of sets it apart and gives it its own thing a little bit. So that was a fun one and a great idea from Wyatt. He always comes in with something good, and that one was no exception.
Yeah, he's done a lot of number ones for Josh Ward here in Texas for many years too, and just what a guy too as well. In fact, talk to him today too. Definitely get him back here on the show here in a few weeks. We're going to talk about this record, about his songwriting, and a whole lot more. And then you have another one last year. I think it was May when it came out, but I got to listen to it for the first time. We're all picky, look, man, on the women when it comes down to it. The kind of woman I like, and just what a two-step and dance hall song. Get up on that hardwood and just cut loose, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I love it. That one's another fun one. And I have to disclaimer, I still ain't found that kind of woman yet. The kind that be the first to admit she's wrong, you know, that kind. I don't think that exists. We got a little out of hand there writing that one and made some stuff up, but no, I'm just messing around. I'm kidding, but it's a fun little song, and folks seem to like it for sure.
And then the other one too, I wanted to get into a few more that made the album too, but I love this one. And we all look at getting lost on a beach somewhere, and we get too bombarded with daily life when it comes down to it, and just say busy doing nothing. And boy, your vocals on that one too. And I love the fact is the lyrics, and this one really came out, I'm sure, to your pleasure in the studio. Y'all made this one really come to life.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was a fun one. We wrote that with Mark Nessler. Yeah, that one, I guess I'm a huge Jimmy Buffett fan, as I know a lot of folks are, and listened to a ton of his music growing up, and always loved that, you know, that kind of little niche of country music, that kind of beachy island vibe stuff. Billy Currington had a bunch of that. Obviously, Kenny Chesney kind of built his whole thing on that after the first couple records. And anyway, so that was kind of I knew I wanted to have that type of, you know, that's just the perfect song to crank up with a cold beer on the boat in the summer, and or like you said, on the beach or whatever. And I love that type of feel, and it just felt like something that I didn't want to leave missing from my first project. So really excited about that song, and another one that we hope folks keep enjoying.
Oh, no doubt too. And then what we played the other day on the radio got a ton of people saying, "Who is that guy? Who is that guy? Who's the guy? He's got a little bit of George Strait. He's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that." I said, "That is Zach Top on KKTC, no doubt." And this one comes out. It made the record too. Love it. And man, the acoustic version is just as good as the recorded version from the studio. But man, what beautiful lyrics! And you guys had a lot of fun with this tune. You co-wrote this, Carson Chamberlain, and of course the great Wyatt McCubbin. There's the Sun has so much great positive energy into it as well. And this is something you sing to your significant other, but man, the lyrics in it hit right to the heart. They really do.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there you go. It's another Wyatt McCubbin idea. he comes with a lot of good ones. But it's funny, man. That was the first song I ever wrote on Zoom. We were supposed to be writing a lot on Zoom, and I wasn't writing much on Zoom, but there's a big bad snowstorm in Nashville. I guess that was spring of 2021. And I couldn't make it to town. And anyway, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to break down and learn what the internet is and what Zoom is and how to work a computer, I guess. And so anyways, we got that thing wrote, and you know, Zoom is not a very fun thing to write songs on. I did not enjoy it. It's weird. You can't really play off each other. It's hard to, you know, it's always cutting out. It's always lagging. You can't really play with each other. And anyway, but it when we got done with that, and I laid a little work tape down and sent it to him, I think we all kind of felt like there was something special in that song, and it was definitely at the top of the list when we went in to cut some tracks. That was going to be one at the top of the list for sure.
You know, I can't wait to catch you at a live show one day. And man, you got a lot going on here for 2024 with the CMA award winners, Brothers Osborne. I've had Lainey Wilson on this show just a couple of years back before she really took off too as well. I mean, those respective tours coming up too from those big name artists. Talk about what it's going to be like to hit the road with names such as that, who are now, you know, busting through and becoming the next superstars of country music.
Yeah, I'm really excited about both them things. I've been a fan of Brothers Osborne for a long time. They I thought their music was really cool when it came out, just as a big old breath of fresh air. I thought from from some of the other stuff that had been going on in country music. I'm a big fan of those guys, and they've been really good to me when I've got to meet them a couple of times. And so very excited to go out, and hopefully their fans can fall in love with us as well. I think our music complements each other nicely, and both bunch of guitar heavy stuff, and so I think their fans will love us as well. And very thankful that they had us out. And of course, Lainey, she's hotter than hellfire, and can't be stopped at this point. So very excited to be attached to that tour as well, and really thankful she picked us out to go out with her. It should be a really fun time, and I have a ton of respect for what she's doing as far as, she's one of the top dogs in country music right now, and she's one of my favorites out there.
Awesome lady, too. Got her fingerprint on everything right now in country music, too. We'll come back and talk about that. I got a couple of questions for Zach. We'll get into rapid fire coming up here. About 5 minutes left here at KKTC, True Country 99.9, and, of course, HighTideCountry.net, and powered by the sportsguyspodcast.com. But, hey, guys, if you like country music and Valentine's Day's coming up, you can sing There's the Sun to your significant other, too, as well. And Valentine's Day around the corner, if you're looking for that perfect gift for your spouse, friend, or family member, Jewelry by Tommy has you covered. You can email burleysystem@yahoo.com today to order. More with Zach Top here on the show. Quick break, a word from Bangtail Whiskey. Get that drink in, get her a Valentine's Day gift, and we'll come back and talk about bad luck here on the Backstage Pass. Stay tuned. More to come.
The Caden Gordon Show, today's best country mix, is a 2-hour show playing independent and mainstream country music you know and love. Be sure to check it out at thecadengordonshow.com for more information on the show.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And back here with Zach Top on the Backstage Pass, final segment here too. KKTC True Country 99.9, and always via the LMNOC streaming app, and also at HighTideCountry.net, and powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Of course, the upcoming album too is Cold Beer, and country music going to be out April 5th across all the streaming platforms. And the debut single out there, Sounds Like the Radio. You can catch it out there. Most added song to country radio back on January the 8th. We played it on KKTC, and the fans extremely love it out there. Pleased to have Zach here on the show. So I got to ask you about another one off this record too, and this is another one we talk about the guys, the boys, the writers, Bad Luck, and this is I love these guitar riffs in this one too as well. So commend your band and the boys for playing some killer guitar riffs as your vocals really come to life in that one.
Heck yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's another one we wrote with Mark Nestler, and that's a funny little tune. It pardon me. I kind of thought that was going to end up being sort of a, my little sneaky favorite on the record, and then not necessarily one of the biggest hits off of it, I suppose. But folks definitely proved me wrong. Folks have been loving this song, and it's by far my most streamed song, and it keeps blowing everything else out of the water. So I love it. I think it's a different feeling song. That minor thing is cool on it, and it's got a great groove. Love the track on it, and love the song. It's fun, and I think a lot of people can probably relate to it. I know I've got a lot of messages and a lot of fans saying they can relate. So glad we were able to write something that makes people feel something, and and still sort of a lighthearted song at the end of the day too. It's one of my favorites for sure.
There's a lot of cool titles in this record. I mentioned Cold Beer and Country Music being the second track off of here too, and of course Cowboys Like Me Do. And this is just awesome. I can't wait. Lonely for Long. Is there another plan, maybe kind of a attention grabber single release off this record before the entire record comes out, or we have to wait till the entire record to hear some more?
No, I believe we got one more single coming in March, actually.
Okay. All right.
It's a song called Use Me. It's been kind of everybody's favorite lately. We didn't write it all that long ago, but it's been one of my recent favorites for sure. It's a good old cheating waltz, which Keith said it best: sad songs and waltzes ain't selling this year. But we're going to try and prove them wrong on that one. And we'll see if I think, folks have been responding to it real well. We've thrown it in the set for the last few shows, and people seem to like it out on the road. And every time I get to play it, it gets a really good response. So we're excited about this one, and everybody at the label's all fired up about it, and they love it. So they said that had to be the single that we put out before the record. So that'll just go out to streaming. No radio push on that one because radio don't like cheating waltzes, but we love the song anyway, and hope everybody else does too.
Looking forward to that one too. A little waltz, a little country music go hand in hand too as well too. Again, Cold Beer and Country Music from Zach Top, April 5th, the full-length album, and look for Use Me for a single release in March at some point there. Of course, we'll keep you posted on when that is here on the Backstage Pass. All right, let's have a little fun. The big game, I can't say the other words, coming up here in a couple of weeks, February 11th, Las Vegas. And being, I guess, if a sports fan, or do you pay attention to the NFL, and with the 4 teams left, who is your pick to represent the big game in Vegas here in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, I'm a big old NFL fan. I really want to see Detroit go and do it. I'm a fan of Jared Goff. Glad he's got kind of a little second start on his career up there in Detroit, and they just got a fun young team. And gosh, they're fun to watch. They put up a lot of points and makes for some fun football for sure. I'd like to see them upset the 49ers a little bit, and then I think I'd like to see old Lamar get up there. I'm a little bit tired of the Kardashians. I hope I don't. I mean the Chiefs. Sorry. I think they wore out their welcome. I'm ready to see somebody knock them off. So I'm gonna pick Ravens and Lions in the big game.
I like that. We got tired of the Patriots dynasty for a lot of years, and now I'm kind of even though born and bred in Texas here too, I love Patrick Mahomes. You kind of I don't know.
Oh, you can't deny he's fun as hell to watch, man. They play great football too, but we don't want to see them win too much. They just get a little sour to us.
Of course, it's always cool to see that. And of course, the NFL draft coming up in April too. Your team now. Who is your team? If you had to root for one team, is it the Titans or is it somebody else?
Yeah, I'm afraid it's the Titans. It ain't looking good here for a little bit. we gotta make some changes. I'm sad they let Vrabel go. Yeah. And we'll see what the next year holds, but I ain't predicting no Super Bowl appearance next year either.
You got to figure out. Hey, I'm with you now. Being a former football coach and a guy who really understands the game, build around Will Levis with some skilled players. And
I'm a fan of Will. I think he's exciting. I think he's got some got something about him that we can build around. I'm all for it.
Looking forward to that too. And I know coming up here after the Super Bowl, baseball season, Major League Baseball, I'm going to have Robert Flores from MLB Network coming on here on the show with me. And of course, former ESPN anchor, he hosts MLB Central every morning on MLB Network. And I'm an Astros fan being from Texas. Cannot wait to see what we do coming up this year. Just missed that World Series again last year by that one game, but congrats to Texas. Who's your team in Major League Baseball?
That'd have to be the Mariners for me, the hometown boys.
Hey, same division, brother. I'll tell you this. Seattle's got a good young ball club, and watch out because this could be a sneaky wild card team, and, of course, a team that gives fits to the Rangers and Astros in that American League West.
Yeah, we try as much as we can.
I love it. Hey, when you guys are on the road and y'all get to have that camaraderie outside of just playing a show and you guys get to go eat, what are some of the favorite spots? Is it like fast food, sit-down place? What do y'all like?
Oh, well, I don't know. That changes. We always usually, we'll kind of spread out and do whatever for lunch. But we'll always usually do dinner together. We try a little bit of everything. Everybody's there's no real picky eaters on here, on the crew. We make sure everybody's got an open mind and enjoy some good food. So yeah, we'll go find something, usually try to do something local that's, try enjoy where you're at. We get to see a lot of cool places and play a lot of fun cities. So try to enjoy some food that's specific and kind of special to the area, I guess. Keep from eating too much Wendy's. We do that plenty of truck stops along the way. So when we get a chance to eat in a good town with some good food, we'll try and find something special.
I love that, man. Hey, what was the first song the first time you ever stepped behind a microphone? What'd you end up playing? What'd you end up singing?
Well, I know I sang Amarillo by Morning. Like I told you, that was the first thing I wanted to learn to play. I played my first show when I was 7 years old. We opened up for I had a little family band, little brother and and two older sisters. That we had a little family bluegrass band growing up for about 10 years. And that was the first show we played when I was 7 years old. And I know we sang that. We did Hey Good Looking, Hank Williams. I'd be danged if I remember what we opened the set with, though. But those are two that I know were in there.
Hey, when it comes to pizza, what toppings go on a Zach Top pizza?
Ooh, I'm kind of I love a supreme thing. Throw me some pepperoni and sausage and peppers and onions and olives and, a whole bunch of good stuff on there.
I like that too. Hey, top maybe 2, 3, 4 favorite movies of all time. What do you enjoy kind of kick back and watching?
I tell you what, I just watched recently, which is a phenomenal movie, is that Ray. It's kind of film about Ray Charles.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx was in it, did a great job. It's an old movie. It was like 2004 or something. I'm not that old, but that one, I love that movie. I love anything kind of about old entertainers like that and whatnot. I think, Walk the Line was another great movie. So stuff like that that's well done is really entertaining to me. And then, I love Matthew McConaughey. He's probably about my favorite actor. So I'd go with Lincoln Lawyer if I had to pick a McConaughey movie. And let's see, Forrest Gump, another big one. I can always go back and rewatch that movie. And Shawshank Redemption, another big one.
Oh God, yeah, that's I watch that at least twice a day if you give me time to kick back and relax. I love that.
There you go.
Redemption, that's just a good one right there. It's a great movie, no doubt too. All right, we'll finish with this one too. If Zach Top was not a musician, what other occupation would he be doing?
Probably be a carpenter. That's what I was doing before I started doing music full time. I was a contractor out in Colorado for a little while and did a little bit of it here in Tennessee as well. But I guess I always enjoyed that kind of work. I probably wouldn't keep framing houses. I'd like to do more kind of finish work and more fine carpentry. But I love doing that stuff.
Well, you're a hell of a musician. He came out crying Chattahoochee in that song too as well. Sounds like the radio, and it's just out there across all those digital platforms. Of course, a permanent figure there, KKTC True Country 99.9. We love playing the music too. And April 5th, Cold Beer and Country Music come out across all the platforms with a great single coming out in March too as well. Can't wait for that one too. Zach, hey man, keep riding the wave, brother. Appreciate you being with us, and hey, best of luck moving forward in 2024. Hope to catch you on the road. And if we're there at CRS coming up here in a few weeks, if you're in town, we'd love to come say hi, no doubt.
Heck yeah, man. That'd be great. Thank you so much for taking the time, Brandon. Pleasure to talk to you.
You got it. Zach Top out there across all the digital platforms. Give him a like on social media. Go download the music. Thanks to our sponsors, of course. Another week coming up on the Backstage Pass, again, powered by the Sports Guys podcast.com, KKTC True Country 99.9, and, of course, out there always hightidecountry.net. Thanks to our sponsors. Go download Zach's music across all those digital platforms. We're back next week with a host of shows. Be sure and tune in. The Sports Guys podcast.com. It's 7 nights a week, KKTC True Country 10 Mountain Time. Always be there and via the LMN OC broadcast streaming app. We'll see you soon. Next week, bunch of shows here on the Backstage Pass, and stay tuned for a lot more. Take care and God bless.